Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and it's always better to find a worm in your apple rather than half a worm in your apple. Now then, you might be wondering why you bothered to click on this small YouTuber's video, and for which I thank you. Perhaps it's because of the funny jokes at the start of each video, or perhaps it's because I'm one of the few reviewers out there who can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less, so stick around and find out if that's true. Okay, so today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Fast Food Simulator, and I know what you're thinking. Why on earth would they make a game like this? Or even better, why on earth would I play a game like this? Or even better still, why would I review a game like this? Anyway, developed by No Ceiling Games and published by No Ceiling Games, this game was released in early access and is selling for $15. So what is this game anyway? Well, it's pretty obvious from the title, I'd like to think. I think we all know what this game is, so there's no point in going into it. What I can tell you is that this game has no story and no cutscenes. Well, let's get into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts and my recommendation, shall we? So, up first for the positives, and the first positive point for me was the stability. Now, it wasn't the first thing that I noticed, but it was the one that surprised me. Despite being early access and being such a nonsense, silly game, it still came out swinging with legit stability. The entire time I played, I didn't experience any bug that I could think of. No glitching, freezing, clipping, frame rate drops, crashes, or anything really. So it's pretty stable, and also nice and smooth, which gives you a far more enjoyable experience, so this is a good sign of things to come, methinks. Next up for the positives is the graphics. Now don't get me wrong, they aren't the best, obviously, but you wouldn't expect the best in a game like this in the first place. But hey, they're also not awful, which is why it's in the positives. In terms of lighting, attention to detail, animation, color choices, contrast, and blending, the game does look good, or at least good enough that I don't have anything negative to say about it, at least nothing that would be worth a damn. The next thing I'd like to talk about is probably the big one. It's the gameplay. Now, I've reviewed and played a shit ton of simulator games, from Brewery Simulator, Rockstar Simulator, Crime Scene Cleaner, which is basically a janitor simulator, House Flipper, which is a house flipper simulator, Power Wash Simulator. Basically, I've played a lot of these. I'm sure you get it. And it's pretty easy to pick out the good ones from the bad ones, because the good ones all have something in common, where the bad ones don't have this particular element, and that element is player retention. What do I mean by player retention? It means engaging your attention. It means being addicting. It means being fun while at the same time investing you as the personal player as well. This game, I'm weirdly happy to say, does indeed have that player retention mechanic built in. The aspect is pretty simple as the idea of the game. You're running around your own fast food restaurant. There you go. You got to cook the patties, flip the patties, and don't let them get burned. Build them to each customer's requirements and serve. In the beginning, it's pretty straightforward, just patties. But as you get deeper into the game, it starts to get a lot more complicated and stressful, as you'll have a dozen customers and each one wants something different. This guy wants fries and 3 spurts of ketchup on his burger with cheese and a solitary pickle for some reason. Meanwhile, this guy over here wants a double burger with double cheese, double squirts of ketchup with pickles, cheese, lettuce, and 3 particular onions, as well as a soda, some fries, and I think you get the gist of it. But the actual cooking component is rather in-depth and realistic, as well as interesting and addicting. Pretty much everything you do in the kitchen is weirdly satisfying. Maybe it's the sounds, the graphics, the mechanics, I don't know, but it's weirdly addicting and yet satisfying. You come in, order your ingredients for the day, cook up the burgers and fries and whatever, wrap them, place them on the serving tray, and either take it out to them yourself or have an employee do it. Collect tips and serving trays after the customer leaves, rinse and repeat. Gain levels and experience for everything you do, and with more levels come more upgrades and unlockables to help further diversify your restaurant. It's weirdly enthralling. Next up for the positives is the sound design. The game has an interesting sound design. The limited music isn't anything to write home about, but it isn't terrible. The partial voice acting is fine, I guess. The sound effects around you, though, are really fun to listen to, which probably adds to the addicting nature of the game that I was talking about earlier. And I always find it funny because whenever you deliver a tray of food to a customer and you get their order right, they will literally cheer at you in the goofiest way possible. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect of it at first, but later on, it was actually kind of funny. It was making me smile at the very least. The next positive point I'd like to talk about, and my last one, is the price tag. Now, I mean, $15, when you think about, that's incredibly appropriate. When you're thinking about just what this game is and what it offers, and you only got to pay $15 for it, that's a great price tag. Not to mention the fact that you can play it with a friend or two. I don't know how many is the limit, but I know that it's at least, one other person could join you. So yeah, online co-op. The point is, for $15, it's worth its asking price. Even if my wife and I decide to play it together, it would only cost us $30 for us to both play it, and that's amazing. That's great. You might also notice that I'm not currently playing with my wife in this recording, and that's because she unfortunately had a prior engagement and could not join me to experience this game. Rest in peace. She's not dead, but you know what I mean. The point is that she's not here, and I'm mourning that she couldn't do this with me. Alright, so that's all I got to say positively about the game. Now we got to go into the negatives. But before that, ever consider joining my Royal Guard? Well, you should. It's super exclusive, and we're only accepting applicants from now to the end of time, so you best hurry up. But you also might want to hit that bell. See, I tend to review games, very random games, at very random times, and that bell lets you know when exactly I do that. And you never know when I might review a game that you've been missing out on your whole life, so make sure to hit that bell and stay informed, alright? I'm just trying to help. Now then, on to the negatives. First negative point for me was the idea. Let's be honest. It's super lame and ridiculous. I mean, perhaps that was the point of the whole game, to be ridiculous, but I don't know. It's just not really the best idea. I mean, they could have used this premise and this gameplay and this whole build to make a different but similar game and put more effort into the overall scale of the game, and they could have made something bigger and much more special, but no, just let's work at a fast food place, I guess. So, you know, that teenager can go work at a fast food place during the day and come home and simulate it at night. The next negative point I have is just the overall size and replayability of the game. It's a tiny game that doesn't offer much, especially after the first playthrough. I mean, you play through this game once and you're done. It's not something you're going to keep coming back to. You visit it for the experience, but once it's done, it's just done and over. There's no reason to come back to it. As for the size, well, I don't know what's in store for the future of the game, but it doesn't seem like you can customize a whole lot about the restaurant or do a whole lot of, like, big stuff for the restaurant, even though you own it. All you can do is change the name and the uniform, but nothing else. Can we expand? Can we make it, you know, bigger? Can we adjust it? Can I adjust the kitchen? Stuff like that. But as of right now, I wasn't seeing anything like that here or even hints of anything like that here. Maybe in the future, but not as of right now, or at least not that I could see or find. So eventually, the game's thrill is going to wear off, and it'll just become a boring, repetitive cycle. In other words, the longevity of the game is a big problem here for me, in my opinion. And that's pretty much the only negatives that I could think of about the game, and even those aren't even all that bad. The thing is, you don't go into this game thinking it's going to be like you're going to play The Witcher or Call of Duty or Stardew Valley or anything like that. You know exactly what you're hopping into. This isn't like you're being misled. So honestly, you have to look at it entirely differently. I can't review this like I would other games that I have to review. You know, I have to review it as its own genre. And when I do that, I think this game is ridiculously fun and well put together, especially if you're playing with somebody. It's well designed and it's at an appropriate price. So you're not getting screwed over here as long as you know exactly what it is that you're playing. Do I think that this game is worth it? Like, you're worth your time and money? Yeah, I think I do. I think if you had a buddy or two and can all play this game together, then yeah, that could be a hell of a lot of fun to goof around on. Perhaps that's its intention anyway. So, do I recommend it? Yeah, it's worth your interest, I think. They did a good job here, and it's not a big asking price, so it won't even hurt you that bad. So, yeah, I mean, if I have to look at it this way and think about the price tag and what's offered here, the fact that it's early access, it's really harmless. I can't give it a bad review. I can't say anything super bad about it, which is another good sign. It might be a bit ridiculous, but at the same time, it's designed well enough, it's intriguing enough, and it's addicting enough that I can't say that you shouldn't play it. So, yeah, I recommend it. All right, everybody? All right, so that's all the time I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.